One of my favorite people in the whole wide world is here for you today. Lori Putnam, what are you going to do for us?
I am going to help you solve that problem where your paintings are too dark. You're not going to
Oh,
be too
man.
dark ever again.
How did you know I have that problem? This is a giant problem, and it happens in plein air painting, it happens in studio painting. So I am anxious to find out the solution. We'll get right to it right after the opening.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
Welcome to Art School Live, man. We are going to have a great day today because we're going to find out how to keep our paintings from getting too dark. Raise your hand if you have this problem. I know I do. And I know one of the problems. We're going to talk about it, and I think I understand why. But our guest today is Lori Putnam, and she is, you already know this, she's world famous, but she's a rock star painter. If you don't know Lori's work, you're about to be amazed. She is a great painter and an even better teacher, if that's possible. So you're going to learn about her today. We have a prize for you. If you leave a comment, whether you're watching live or on replay, if you leave a comment, we're going to pick out of the comments and give away a subscription to Plein Air Magazine. So leave a comment. Tell us where you're watching from. The winner of the last prize is Marilyn Rabont in Traverse City, Michigan, who wins the Value Specs. All right, Marilyn. And if you would like a free ebook on plein air painting, I was just talking to somebody. He said, like, plein air painting is so hot. The movement is so big. Everybody's doing it. If you want to be a part of that and you want to get some tips, learn how to do this, go to pleinairlive.com/240. And Plein Air Live, by the way, is coming up. It's starting next week, the 9th through the 11th. We have Essential Techniques Day on the 8th. I'll be your host. And if you have not checked it out yet, you want to check it out because it's going to be really cool. We also have another thing that's really cool is coming up. This is the Plein Air Convention 10-year anniversary. Our guest is Jane Seymour, the actress, and she's a painter, and she's going to hang out with us and help us celebrate our 10-year birthday. We've got some big birthday plans. But our guest is Lori Putnam. Lori has done this video with us, bold brushstrokes and confident color. Please welcome my guest, Lori Putnam.
Hi, Eric.
Hey, Lori.
Thanks so
Okay,
much.
take it
Thanks
away.
so
Show us
much.
what you're going to do.
Okay, so first I just want to talk for just a second, and then I will actually turn this a little bit so you can see a little bit better. But a lot of times, particularly painting in plein air, but it also happens in the studio, people exhaust every value out there that is white, all the way to pure black. And what happens when you do that is everything starts to feel very too contrasty. Contrast is just something that can be used to be dramatic, but it can also be kind of gaudy sometimes. If you have a painting that doesn't feel sensitive, it doesn't feel like the place. It feels like all of the darks are kind of scary,
You mean like too
and
dark?
like too dark. Like if I was outside on a bright sunshiny day, that must be the middle inside of somebody's closet with the light off. They're just way too dark. And so I tend to paint, it's an artistic choice, and every artist obviously can make their own choices of it's called keying, when you choose how generally light or generally dark your painting is going to seem. And it's an artistic choice. There are some people that, that is what they do. They're chiaroscuro. It's out of the darkness kind of lighting, but it's not what I've chosen to do. And so if that interests you at all, I want to help you learn how to do that. So it's not for everybody. That's what it means to be an artist. You get to choose. So I want to show you first a couple of things that I have done, and then I will actually demonstrate here. So this is, let me see, is that okay? Can you see that? So that is one of the little sketches that I have done on some grayscale paper. This is a multimedia paper, and this, so I can paint with oil on it. And this paper has a value already. See this? This is not white. This
So
already has
is it a middle value?
it's interesting. This is actually this much below middle, and the one I'm painting on today is this much above middle, which is kind of a problem. But what happens is if I have this and I know on my white to black scale where this falls, you can see just in my setup here, I've got, this is darker, my board, my box. I'm working on my Edge Pro today. Oops, that was not good. Working on my Edge Pro today, and you can tell that my box is darker. You can tell that, if you can see it, the palette is darker. And so all of those things play a role in making decisions about how to put down the values once you get to color. A lot of people just think about the color. And you know me, I love color, but if I have that color too dark, it's going to look dead instead of alive and full of joy. And I am a let's paint full of joy kind of person. And so if I compare even this to white, if I'm going to mix some color in a few minutes, and I put that value on here and on here, you'll be able to tell that there's a really big difference, okay? So what I'm going to work on today is a lesson that I teach an awful lot, and that is white and shadow being darker than black and sunlight. Now, this is not a new idea. Anybody who's read Kevin McPherson's book, it was probably the first time I heard it, was one of his very first books, probably his first book. And he has a wonderful example in there of a black and white cow. And so I have a house here. I've actually painted this before, but we're going to pretend I haven't because there are a couple of reasons for doing this exercise. And one is learning, which is what we're doing today. And the other is to plan and prepare your paintings. So this is another one of these that I did. This is where the little clip was. And I did this little sketch because I was doing a quick draw for the Booth Western Art Museum. And you never know what kind of light you're going to be painting under. And so I did this so that I had something to work off of besides a photograph. I had something I knew would work. And so everything I put down here, I compared to this value. So let's get started and see if we can make it make a little more sense than just talking about it, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to turn this a little bit so you can see a little better. Don't worry, I'm still here. You'll see my hand in a minute. So like I said, I have painted this painting before, but if I was doing this just for planning, then I would never have painted it before. Maybe I wanted to try it in a different kind of light. And so for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to actually draw in a few little lines just to show you where I'm drawing. I generally don't do this. I generally draw very little, but I find that when I'm demonstrating, it helps people know where I am, especially since you can't really see the photo that well. It's off in the background. So I'm just going to give myself a little placement here. And so you can tell where I am, but normally I would just start massing this in, and massing just means, I know there's not a drawing there per se, it's just it's big shapes, okay? but I want you to have a clue where I am. All the time I'm teaching and people are like, I have no idea where you are. And so I've started trying to tell them a little bit more about where I am. So here's my building. And of course, it's got all this wonderful greenery and stuff down here, which we may or may not even get to. And there's a roof line coming in here, and it's got some light on it, and that's going to be beneficial. So there's my house. I know that this value, as we mentioned at the very beginning, this is just about mid. It's barely lighter than mid. And so sorry about that, that's where it fell off a while ago. If I only put in the light, which is kind of opposite of the way I paint generally, I generally put in my shadows first. But if I only put in the light, so I'm going to actually start with some sky, which is, again, not how I would generally paint. And you see how white that looks next to this gray, right? You can tell already that sky is very, very bright. And on here, it probably looks really white, right? Probably on camera.
Yep.
But if I compare that, this is the puddle I just mixed with white, you see it's not white at all. Can you appreciate that?
Yep.
So see, it's not white at all. It's that I'm comparing it, and of course there's some camera glare, but I'm comparing it with this darker value. So I know that everything in my shadow, I'm going to choose to be this value, except for maybe the black roof, because that works. This already looks backlighted, doesn't it?
Yep.
And so if I was trying to key this in a different key, I might say that everything on this gray piece of paper was going to be my light value and have a much darker key painting. So now let's go ahead and move into some of this area. Like I said, I do these a lot because they help me work out a painting before I, mess up a whole big canvas. And who wants to pay for a big canvas being messed up when you can figure out all of your potential problems? And most people, their potential problems are value. And so if you can figure it out on here, then you're not going to be so lost. And sitting at a kind of a strange angle, so I probably won't even get this drawing right, but that's okay. You'll forgive me.
I have before.
It's hard when I'm sitting way down below the actual area that I'm painting, and so it's a little bit, my perspective is going to be a little bit off because I'm not painting straight on, but oh well, I'm a big girl, I can handle that. So there's my black roof and shadow. And if you can tell it all on the light, on the reference that's back over here, the top of this roof, I don't know if you can see that far, but the top of this roof up here is in light.
Yep.
So this is the key, no pun intended, to getting this to read properly. Getting this light and shadow against that black and light. Well, if this is going to be this value all represents my white and shadow, I know this has to be lighter than this piece that's already there. So it's really pretty simple. It's just that people see that black roof and they think, well, but it's a black roof.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
It's not a black roof. It's a black roof that's being affected by the light. And the light has a color. And so I'm going to test something here that I've mixed. It's just a kind of a neutral color. That is definitely lighter. I'm not sure if you can appreciate that. Can you see that on the screen?
Yes.
That is definitely lighter than this piece. And so I can put that in there. You're saying, but that's yellow. Well, just play along. We'll be there in a minute. Just play along with me. And I don't have to be really picky here. I can add all this other stuff back in a minute.
All right. Well, you've got me confused. I'm not sure. Based on the reference photo, I'm like, I don't see yellow there.
Okay, well, you'll see it in a minute.
Yeah. I don't even see that much light.
That much light in the sky or that much light
No,
on the boat?
on the roof,
On the
it
roof?
doesn't look like
Ah,
it looks like it's
well,
lighter than.
that's because it's a dark object being struck by light. Your brain is trying to tell you that this is darker than this, but it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not. So, so if we're going to keep this theory going here, I just have to make sure that everything I paint now, and I can mix colors here on my palette that are next to one another and start to compare like this value to this value. And so if I'm doing that, then I know that everything I paint up here can be darker than this, which is white and shadow. And so we're going to put a little thing under here, find that. And let's say I want this under here, and I'm going to add, some of this other roof here. And generally, I would do this pretty quickly. I'm actually doing it slower here than normal because I would like to do a whole lot of these and really test and see which, which feels better to me, which kind of light feels better to me. And if I start getting too wrapped up in an exact drawing and all of that stuff, then I'm just going to be frustrated. And so generally speaking, I don't even take as much time as I do here. There's a couple of windows up here. That'll suffice for now. So now let's get to this over here where it's supposed to be. That'll help. Now let's get to the actual color of that white, because this is not the color. The color of white is getting all of the reflected light from the ground down here, from the sky up here. And so all of that affects this color. So as long as I keep my value accurate, I can put as many fun little colors in there as I want. So let's start adding some fun colors. And I see a whole lot of color. I actually knock back my colors a whole lot more than, there's the right value, than I see, but it's because people would start hauling me off somewhere. And so I am just going to put in that color, which is just a violet. It's had a little bit of orange put in it to neutralize it. And I'm just putting that in there. Saying, oh, that's a pretty color, but wait, while I've got this mixed, I'll adjust it just a little bit. And I'm sorry you can't see all of this because they just can't fit everything on the screen. As long as it's darker than that black, let me go just one step. Darker than that black and light, it's going to read like white and shadow. So we've got this here.
So you're saying that the light you're painting now, the light and shadow is darker than the black?
The white and shadow is darker than the black and light. It's true. And it's sometimes hard for people to see, but it's true. you have to think about it's a color. It's not just black, it's a color. And that color is being affected by this light. And that'll get better in a minute. I know nobody's buying it right now,
Yeah, well,
but
all right.
but it will get better in just a minute. Let's see. So this is all in shadow. And this is in shadow. And again, like I say, I generally don't take too much time to do these. So all this is in shadow. That's in shadow. That's in shadow. This
So do you
is
tend to do you paint on gray panels all the time then so that you can keep your
no. But like I said, for the quick draw at the booth, I knew that, like I say, it was going to be under weird lighting, kind of like at the convention, it'll be under weird lighting, right? You're up there trying to do a demonstration, and so in order to make sure I didn't do anything stupid, oops, too light, didn't do anything super stupid. I did this ahead of time, and instead of painting from a photo, I painted from the sketch that I took. Now I'm adding a little bit of green here because this green from the ground that I'm about to put in is bouncing up
reflected
into
light?
that.
By the way, I don't want to
Reflected
make you
light.
nervous, but Kevin McPherson is watching.
Hi, Kevin. You're supposed to be on the slopes. Ew, he's such a good guy. I can add a little bit, I said that the sky is reflecting up into this part up here, and so I can add a little bit of blue up in here. Where it's a little cooler up there than it is down here. So I say things like cooler and warmer, not cool and warm, because it's all relative. So now if I start, and I may not even get to the grass, but that won't really matter. If I start mixing some colors that are also, in this sky, but in the value of that roof color that I put up there for light. So these are the same value, they just happen to be different colors. And I start putting some of that up there because the roof is being affected by that blue sky as much as it is any kind of warm light. I can start to make this look a little more like you've mixed a bunch of colors and gotten black. And so this is the kind of thing that it really helps if you test ahead of time, because if I'm going to paint a really large painting, I want to make sure that I don't waste that, don't waste my time. I don't waste my panel. None of those things is fun, right? Wasting materials or wasting your time. And so if I can figure it out on a little 5x7 grayscale piece of paper, then I'm going to be much better off. And I did just recently get some colored Gamlin oil painting ground. I recover paintings a lot of times and paint over them. And I got some Gamlin oil painting ground that's gray. And so I might try putting that on some panels and working on them just to see what happens. And so let's say I need to put in, as long as I don't go anywhere near that light up there, so I can test that and make sure it's not that light. It's going to look like down here, but it's not that light compared to up there. Compared to this, I just put a dot up there and tested it. And sure enough, it was not that light. It just kind of looks like. So, sorry, there's a delivery guy at the door. Mark's taking care of it. So see, I can add all of these little things in there that I need and get some more information in the piece. Now on this roof in the photo, it's a metal roof and it's very, very, very light. And it tends to have a little bit of pinkish in it. And so if I put this here for some of that roof and then have the rest of this roof in shadow, ordinarily I wouldn't design something like this. That's not exactly the best design right there, having that little piece of light, but right on the edge. But that opens up a whole area. Having that pink opens up a whole area for me in the light color and in the shadow to add some of that lovely pink in there. So, maybe I've got a couple of clouds that are pink, right? And
Right.
maybe let's go ahead and fill in some more of my sky around those pretty little pink clouds. And I just love to paint. Do you love to paint? I just love to paint. Isn't this fun? I mean, painting is so much fun. I'd rather be doing this than anything I can think of. So now I've got this white house that's totally backlighted, right? I'll go ahead and put in the ground plane just because
Can you zoom in on that?
the wrong value on the painting.
Yeah. Much better. Thank you.
And so let me put down a little something for the ground plane. Ooh, that was shocking. Just has to be lighter than this, right? Because this is my lightest shadow. This value is my lightest shadow. And so it just has to be lighter than that to read like this ground and light. And of course I can, design that ground plane to do whatever I want. I can make it lay down, I can make it go uphill. I mean, all of that has to do with brushwork and I'm not going to get into all of that today, but all I have to do is bring up just one or two little pieces of this grass in the ground plane in front of that white of the house in shadow, and look how much darker that looks. But you totally believe that is a white house in shadow. If now this is not the way this light is on this house, but I just want to show you something. If, let's say, light suddenly started to creep around and hit somewhere over here, which would be impossible, but let's see, where can I put that? Let's put it over here, because that could actually be possible. And so let's just say that light starts to creep around and hit that. I am nowhere near 100% white. This color that I have just mixed is that pinky color. So I'm nowhere near 100% white, right? I can still go a whole lot, sorry for the glare, whiter than that. But let me just put a dot here to show you what that looks like. That's how dark that white house is, but it totally reads like it is in a white house in shadow. That's going to make me nuts since it can't really be there, but anyway. But you see what I mean? There's a lot of room in your value system once you start messing with it and adding these wonderful colors in, which, like I said before, I actually see. That's getting too lights drive me nuts. I actually see those colors. And so putting those in is a joy. But if you don't see the color, that comes with time. People can learn to see more color. And if you don't see that, don't worry about it. You'll learn it eventually, and then you won't be able to stop yourself. You'll say, oh my goodness, I'm putting all that weird color in there. The window, let's just move there really quickly because it would be kind of fun to show you that. The window here, we need to make sure that, let's say this is actually a painting that somebody wanted commissioned of this lightkeeper's house, which is in Port Clyde, Maine. And so we're going to set that window into that building. Right now, it's just a little blob of a brush mark. And if this was a finished painting, I certainly wouldn't have every single one of those windows exactly the same. And so to set that in, it's got white trim around it. And like in real life, in the photo, it has white trim around it. Well, I still need to stay in this value range, but I don't have to stay in the color that's right there. And so I look around and I try to find some other color. I'm just going to check this next to my value. Yep, that'll work. That I see reflecting up into it. And then if I come back here and put this window around it, it sets that window into the house. And you don't have to paint them all that way. But if you paint just a few that way, then that suddenly seems like that house has some interesting trim on its windows. Is that making sense?
No.
Are you still not?
No, it's not making any sense at all.
What's wrong, Eric?
So you're painting a wide spot for the trim first before you lay that dark in. Is that right? You're not painting around the dark, or are you?
So I just had this one little dark here, but then I'm putting
Oh, you
this
just painted
trim on.
beside it. Okay.
I'm putting the trim on the outside of the house, just like you would if you were building a house.
Can you zoom in at all? Is there any way you can get
trim
closer?
would go on the outside of the house, right? Yeah, let me do that.
Thank you. That way we can see what's going on.
Okay. See how that?
Yep.
So if this is white and that's black, and it is bothering you that black roof looks yellow, well, make it a lighter blue. You don't have to put all of those fun, interesting colors in there, but I see those colors, and so that's why I put them in there. And I want to show you, just like if I put something that's as dark as I could possibly go up there, which I don't even have a black on my palette. I don't have anything against black, but if I put something up there that is absolutely as dark as I can go, it would be this. And can you tell how dark that is?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who would be painting this roof that color. And that's not right. That is not the way it really is in nature. It's just not that color. And so if I make sure that I pick up on the colors that are in this beautiful sky and start adding some of those in there, it will start to look more like this roof in light. There's a small little piece of dark right there I can see. It's kind of nice. And so what kind of questions do we have?
I don't see any questions, but I think I would encourage a few. see what people come up with. Somebody asked about your palette. I don't think you've got your full palette out right now, do you?
I've got whatever was left on here. I actually have been painting a lot of things that are really small, and my big easel makes them feel too big. And so I've got just kind of what was left on here. If anybody wants to know though what I use, then you can go to not my art website, although I'd love for you to go to my art website, but you can go to my learning website where I do mentoring and things like that. And there's a page on there called Lori's Favorite Things. And if you look on that, you'll see all the list of my colors there.
All
And,
right.
I keep that up to date. You know, I list things there that I think are important, and try to keep it as up to date as possible. This, you know, I'm gonna take this a little further than I normally would these. Like, I'm gonna see if I can actually kind of lose.
One
a
of the
little bit of that
questions
one.
is that they wanted to know what you used as the root color for your creating your darkest dark on that black. Did you start with a black, or did you mix it from other colors?
No, I had a little bit of, so I had a little bit of blue, and it was mixed into a reddish violet. So it was it was like a warmish color that I had. You might think of it as I believe it was brown pink, but you might think of it as one of the umbers, and I mixed some blue in it. Let me show you something real quick that might be helpful.
Hello, Tokyo. Hello, Netherlands. Hello, Ireland.
So all of these colors that I have mixed up here, you know, I can make almost any color I need with just 3 colors in white. And so I want to show you something. A lot of people do color charts on white. Well, I've also done them on black, which helps keep me from getting too black. And so I have these wonderful color charts. And you can see on these color charts some colors that look like the umbers. This is just a chart of mixing Naphtha red with cad yellow medium and ultramarine blue and white. And then I have one of those. You can also see a lot of the earth tones in this one. Same thing. This is where I've mixed just those 3 colors in white to get all of these lovely colors. And over at these columns that are over here on the side are where I've taken the green and the red and mixed between, because, you know, they are complementary colors. And then look at these lovely colors. These are, don't you just want to eat that up? And so you can see there are a lot of nice neutrally earth tones here. And so this is, again, just 3 colors in white. But I do have all of my colors listed on that website I gave you. It's loriputnam.online, and Lori's Favorite Things is listed there. And so the 3 colors are listed in bold, 3 colors I've used to mix those. And you can tell those values look so different next to black, as opposed to just doing your white swatches and measuring those.
Hey, so Lori, why don't you tell us about what you're going to be doing? I understand you're not doing any workshops right now. You're doing some online training, but you're going to do an in-person workshop at the plein air convention, which starts 2 days before. So it's kind of like almost 2 full days before the convention starts. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. First of all, usually when you're teaching a workshop, you only get to do so much because of the time constraints with people painting and demonstrations and all of that stuff. Well, I'm going to hold people captive for 2 days and fill their brains with everything that has to do with light, painting it, seeing it. It's going to be, I have so many wonderful things planned. And one thing that's, if you've ever been, if people have ever been to these pre-convention workshops, it's not like you get to paint in them because that would be impossible with all those people, but it's going to be very personal because there are some things that you'll all be doing if you come. And I'm actually even going to supply you with your supplies for that. You don't have to worry about it. So you'll get to participate and it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, we're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great event. And that's a pretty big deal to be the person chosen for the pre-convention workshop. So you're right up there with some iconic people in the past. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, it's pretty big shoes to fill, but I'm just gonna, I'm from Tennessee. I don't even have to wear shoes if I don't want to, right?
Well, I think the people who have attended these things, yes, they're big groups of people, unlike a small workshop, and nobody's setting up their easels and painting. But it's very rare that you go to a workshop and then you get a chance to watch a lot of demos and a lot of principles and just have that stuff drilled into your head over and over and over again. I think that's going to be a great opportunity.
Yeah, and the thing I'm really looking forward to about it, because I've attended those and I know how great they can be and how much you can learn. The thing I'm looking forward to is just being able to just not stop, just continue to share. And I just have a million things I want to tell everybody. So I'm excited about it. Really excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. It's your opportunity to just do a big data dump, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Everything I've always learned about painting in 2 days. It's going to be a great opportunity. Well, Lori's going to be teaching at the plein air convention, her 2-day workshop. The convention is the 20th. Well, the pre-convention workshop is the 20th and 21st. And this is for people who are attending the plein air convention. So you can come in early and do that. And probably ought to get that signed up, though. The hotel is already sold out. We have 2 more hotels. They're going to be sold out soon. Convention is not sold out yet, surprisingly, but it will be. So you want to come and come in early and get that 2 days of Lori Putnam. It's going to be very valuable.
Yeah, I hope you'll all come. Just do what you can. Get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can't accommodate everybody at the convention, unfortunately, but I guess we could. We just have to take over more space. But anyway, it's going to be great. And I want to say thank you, appreciate you for what you've done today and also all the inspiration that you've been giving people over the years. This is a pretty big deal.
Eric. Thank you so much.
Do you have any final thoughts on keeping your paintings from getting too dark?
Don't do it. Well, I think that if everybody learns what value they're working on, whether it's white or a toned surface, what value they're mixing on, is it lighter or darker than mid value? And you measure things off of that rather than your lightest light and your darkest dark. It's going to help things feel more full of air and not too dark.
Yeah, well, that's important. And it's a struggle. It's interesting. I was doing a tree this weekend and I was always taught put those trees in those trunks of trees in dark. And I lightened it up a little bit. It just didn't read like it was in the atmosphere. I think from what you taught today, I'm going to go redo that and see what happens.
You do get a lot of atmosphere, and it's not just an atmospheric perspective thing. It feels more like you're in that natural space.
Yeah.
Like life really happens.
That's right.
Not, so yeah.
Well, this is a good opportunity since Lori's really focusing on her painting more and painting larger pieces now and not doing workshops right now. This is a great opportunity. Come to the plein air convention, come see Lori. Lori, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Eric. I so appreciate it. I love being here.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. We haven't seen you for a while, and
Yeah.
we've all been kind of cooped up. So it'll be nice to be together with people again and be at the convention, see all our old
Yeah.
friends and meet new ones.
Good reunion, and everybody's always so welcoming there, and you just it even though it's a large group of people, you feel like you're all very close, and there's a lot of camaraderie between everybody, and I just love that.
Yeah. Well, and we all need it. We all need that reconnection. Well, thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Eric.
Right.
I'll see you soon.
Okay, our guest today was Lori Putnam, and I want to remind you guys that she is doing, if you didn't catch this, the pre-convention workshop at the plein air convention. The convention is the 21st through the 25th in Denver, Colorado. We will be out painting throughout Colorado. The way the convention works is essentially you have an opportunity to watch on five, count them, five different stages. And so we have the main stage, which is also oftentimes the oil stage. We have a watercolor stage, pastel stage, and then we also have two other stages, and we fill them up. We call them demo stages, and those are a variety of different topics. So if you're like watching one thing and you're bored with it, you can go to another room and watch something else. If you're bored with that, you can go to another room and another room and another room. And we have a big expo hall. You don't have to be at a certain level to be there. You don't have to paint at all. But if you want, we go painting at the end of every day. The indoor sessions end kind of midday. Then we head out and we go to some incredible places. We're going to be going to places like Estes Park, to the Rocky Mountain National Park, where Bierstadt painted. As a matter of fact, we're setting up where it's quite a treat to see a crowd of like 1,000 people painting together, and we're all going to be setting up and painting right there where Bierstadt painted, which is pretty cool. And we're going to be painting the Garden of the Gods and some other surprises. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you join us for the plein air convention next week. It's hard to believe it's here, but next week is going to be plein air live. And so that's going to be happening 4 days next week, plein air live. And so make sure you check that out at pleinairlive.com. And we've got a terrific lineup of people for that. You don't want to miss that. And the following week, we're going to be announcing a global paint out. We're all going to be painting together online, something we've never done before. And that's going to be coming up the following week. We'll tell you more about that as time goes by. Thank you for tuning in today. It's nice to see people from all over the world. I saw Tokyo, I saw Netherlands, I saw Kuwait, Ireland, England, a lot of people all around. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Eric Rhodes. We're here daily at 12 noon Eastern time, New York time, and it's called Art School Live. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.